Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. This is the brother Sagala. I'm coming back with another video. The name of this one is called Heaven Specifications, a Plan Overview. And it's more so just I'm gonna go through Ezekiel chapter 40 through 48. Hit a few points in each chapter just to because what are specifications? Specifications are just yeah, how something is gonna be built, like the details to it. So we're just gonna go over a few of these details because this outlines the kingdom of heaven. And how do we know this outlines the kingdom of heaven? Because we're gonna start in Ezekiel, the 39th chapter. So without any further ado, we're just gonna hit a few points in Ezekiel chapter 39. Excuse me. And as we can see, it starts off in Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 1. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So this is talking about Gog and Magog, in the book of Revelations. Let's see Gog and Magog. Let's look that up. Gog and Magog. Because the Lord said that's what he's going to do, is bring Gog and Magog to battle. Revelation 20, verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle, in the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So, this whole thing is about going up against Israel. The true Israelites, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans here in the Western Hemisphere, you West Indians, you Haitians, whatever you calling yourselves, But the main point is, this is about World War III in Ezekiel the 39th chapter. So we're just gonna scroll down because I just wanted to hit that point. Let's hit a few points in it. And it shall come to pass, verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will give into Gog a place of their graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hamongog. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. Yet all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown that day, that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land, to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. So the Lord's talking about to cleanse the land. The Israelites, they're going to have servants from the other nations that do that. Verse 15, and the passengers that pass through the land where any seeth a man's bones, then shall he set up a sign by it till the buriers have buried in the valley of Hamongog. Let's skip down some. Because now, right here in verse 18, let's start at verse 17. And thou, son of man, thus saith the Lord God, speak unto every feathered fowl and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves, and come gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. Ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of the rams, of lambs, and of great bullocks, and of goats, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan, and ye shall eat till ye be full, and drink blood till you be drunken of my sacrifice, which I have sacrificed for you. So this is talking about the Lord. This is not only a symbolization of the animals, but this also it's synonymous with the people that's gonna, because when this power gets put down, they're gonna be a spoil to the rest of the nations, and for the most part, the nation of Israel. So not only are the animals gonna be able to feast on the dead bodies, but the people, whenever back in the day when there was war, and still today, the dead bodies that they get ransacked, they get stripped of any of their valuables, and that's where you get the spoils of war from. And I had another one. I was just thinking of it in Isaiah, I believe. Oh yeah, Isaiah chapter 34 says something like that also. Isaiah chapter 34 talks about the beast of the field. Isaiah 34. Because this is also talking about when we go to Isaiah, this is also talking about this same war that's happening. This Isaiah chapter 34. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth from it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain shall be cast out as stink. Their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. Okay, we talking about, and the whole host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth from off the fig. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So here goes. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And where's the land of Idumea? America. Basra. And Idumea is wherever these white folks dwell. But for the most part, here in the US of A. Okay? And when you go into this, the blood of the with the blood of the lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys, when you go to Leviticus, the 3rd chapter, that's associated with a peace offering. So in order for peace to be brought on this earth, this great sacrifice has to happen, right? But I still need to get to the part about the animals, though. I just wanted to get to the part really where it's talking about, because hold on, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. So what is that sword? That sword is talking about missiles. We were already in Ezekiel the 39th chapter about Gog and Gog. How the Lord is gonna destroy them is gonna be a missile attack, and projectiles flying out of modern day weaponry. Verse 8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. See, and that's talking about, because that great nuclear decimation that's coming. But that's coming, all around the world, but nothing's gonna get hit like America. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. Hold on, I could have swore. The wild beasts of verse 14, the wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow, and the screech owl also shall rest there to find herself a place of rest. All right, so I thought it was gonna go more into that point that I wanted to hit about the uh animals eating, the Lord sacrificing it for his animals. I forget where that's at, but let's go back. This is still talking about that same instance, right? This great destruction that's going to deliver Israel, that's going to deliver Zion. So let's go back to Ezekiel. And that's all I really wanted to get into in this Ezekiel 39, because this is it's talking about, it ends off with the deliverance of Zion, right? Let's go down. This is Ezekiel chapter 39. Verse 22. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day and forward, and the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword, according to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy on the whole house of Judah. So when the Lord says he's going to bring again the captivity, he's not talking about he's going to bring you into captivity again. No, because further up, he just sent the fire, on the people to destroy him. For what? And we just read in Isaiah the 34th chapter, it's the year of the Lord's vengeance and a recompense for Zion. Something of that nature, you know. After that, they have borne their shame and all their trespass, verse 26. Verse 25, therefore thus saith the Lord, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. After that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses, whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid, when I have bought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am the Lord, the Lord their God, the Lord their power, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them into their own land, and have left none of them there any more. Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Lord. So this is what Ezekiel the 39th chapter ends off with. Neither will I hide my face any more. So if we go in chronologically, then we go into Ezekiel 40. All right. In the fifth, let's start at verse 1. In the 25th year of captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, because this is talking about the specifications of the kingdom of heaven, a plan overview. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year, after that the city was smitten. In the selfsame day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and brought me thither. In the visions of God brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was as the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee, for to thee intent that I might show them unto thee, or thou brought hither, declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel. So we talking about he saw a man with a measuring reed in his hand, with a line of flax. So that, and behold, a wall of the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit, and in hand breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. Then he came unto the gate which looketh toward the east, and went up the stairs thereof, and he measured the threshold of the gate, which was one reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was one reed broad. So we got this figure, this is the Messiah, measuring out the city. But this is New Jerusalem. That's why Ezekiel says he's seen the frame of a city, you know, more so seeing like when you have a set of blueprints, you open the blueprints up, and then the blueprints are not set as the scale, but they're not set you can't draw blueprints as big as you're going to draw a building, but they're set to a scale, you know. So this is like you measuring something, you measure something out, but it's at a different, you're multiplying it by something. But the vision that Ezekiel's seeing is like blueprints, you know. And the Lord's giving them all the measurements. You know, it's probably like a 3D model. You know how they do it. The kingdom of heaven doing it big. Can't even imagine the technology, you know. But going on, those are just some of the specs. But let's go to Revelation chapter. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 2. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 2. I don't want to ramble. Zechariah 2. This Zechariah chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. I lifted up mine eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. So these are the same. Zechariah and Ezekiel are having similar visions. Then said I, whither goest thou? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth. I'm not sure if this is a typo, but sometimes these little Bible apps still have little typos in them, and you'll catch them. But let's keep going. Come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. So when the Lord's talking about deliver yourself from the north, we talking about North America. Why? Because North America is the daughter of Babylon. And you can read that in Psalms, the 137th chapter. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eyes. So let's just prove that. What did I say? Psalms the 137th chapter. Psalms 137. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. It's the first verse. Yeah, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of those songs of Zion. So he talking about our captivity. The same captivity that gets documented, and they play those little sad Negro songs, and you might see somebody getting whipped You know, you might see somebody having a buck den shuck and jive for so-called massa. Yeah, this is what this is talking about. Verse 4, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it even to the foundation. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Oh, that's harsh. No, it ain't harsh. You know, you got some naysayers that's going to say, what kind of God to do that? You know, God is about justice. How about Shem Yahushua? And that has been done to us. So it said, happy shall they be that rewardeth them as they rewarded you. Something of that nature. But I just wanted to prove that real quick. So when we talking about this daughter of Babylon, where's that at? Verse 7, deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. So Psalm 137 already merged the daughter of Babylon and Edom. They already tied those two people together. And who's Edom? The so-called white man. All right. But with that being said, because we still harping on having specifications, but we still just got to lay the foundation. And sometimes it may seem like I'm jumping off topic a little bit, but we still going to get to the destination. So let's go to Revelation. Let's go to Revelation 21, because we still harping on that man that has the measuring reed in his hand, who is the Messiah, Yahushua. Let's go to Revelation 21. Bam. We're going to start at 15. And he that talked with me had a golden reed, and this is the book of Revelation. It's only 22 chapters in it, and this is the 21st. So, all right. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is of the angel. All right. So these are some of the heaven specifications. This is what we harping on, the specifications. All right. So we got the lengths, the measurements. When we went in Ezekiel 40 is talking about the measurements of the stairways, the windows, the gates, because we harping on specifications, man. Let's go back to Ezekiel 40. I just wanted to kind of touch on that one. That these are all talking about the same events. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. So we could go into a few specifications. And he sat upon the throne and said, behold, I make all... Hold on. This is not the same one. Let's get it. All right, so we back in Ezekiel 40. All right. And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about, in a man's hand measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit, and in hand breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. All right. So we just harping on some of this. We're not going to read all through the chapters, because we got a few more chapters to just get into. But we're going to harp on some of these specs, though. So we got the chambers of the gates. We got the gate. He's still measuring the gates, the doors to the gates, the posts to the gates. All right. We still at the gates. Oh yeah, we got porches now, I believe. I believe we at the porches. That's by the gate. We got the inner at the gate of the inner court was over against the gate toward the north. All right. We just harping on some of these specifications. And there was a gate in the inner court toward the south. All right. We harping on some of these. Now let's let's go down a bit. And the 4 tables were of hewn stone, is verse 32, for the burnt offering of a cubit and a half long and a cubit and a half broad. So we talking about the tables, 4 of them. Believe probably for the sacrifices. And the chamber whose prospect is toward the north is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok among the sons of Levi, which come near to the Lord to minister unto him. All right, so we got the inner courts who come near to the Lord. So now we're gonna skip to verse 40, chapter 41. Still harping on some of these specs. And after this verse 1, afterward he brought me to the temple and measured the posts, 6 cubits broad and one on the one side and 6 cubits broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tabernacle. All right, so now we at the doors of the tabernacle, which I think we're harping on the temple. All right. Yeah. Afterward, he brought me to the temple. So we got the doors of the temple. We harping on all of the specifications on the doors. And usually when you have blueprints, if you have blueprints, you have like a door schedule. You know, you have a foundational plan. You have you have your details, because something you might need more detail, so then you might have to turn to an addendum to get the specifications on it. So when you harping on doors, there's multiple doors. So when you looking at a blueprint, you have to go to the door schedule to get all of your specifications for the doors and the hardware that comes with them, you know, and the measurements and where all those doors you know, those doors will be those I forget what type of plan that is. Oh yeah, it's a floor plan. You can see it on the floor plan, which a floor plan is a bird's eye view of the layout. A floor plan is the bird's eye view of the layout of the interior, you know, and the exterior. So it gives you the doors, the room dimensions, all of that, because you're looking at it bird's eye view. So that would be called a floor plan. And that's usually where you would have your door schedules and, you know, and things like that. So he measured the length thereof 20 cubits and the breadth 20 cubits before the temple. And he said unto me, this is the most holy place. All right, so now we're getting into the holy place, the most holy place. You know, also that's where you have your window schedule also. You will have a door schedule, you will have a window schedule, and that'll give you all of the specifications, like what type of doors or is there gonna be, what type of material is gonna be made out of, the measurements of the window, what type of glass to use. You know, it's gonna give you all of those little details that's not gonna come on, let's say, in any one of the other plans. Because you might have a plan for the foundation. Then you're gonna have a floor plan, and that's gonna give you every. Let's say you got a 3-story building. You might have 3 floor. You're gonna have a floor plan for every floor. Then you're gonna have your foundation plan. That's gonna be a plan of its own. Then that's gonna include details and whatever the case be. So we still harping on the doors. And there were narrow windows and palm trees on the side and so we on verse 26. On the other side, on the sides of the porch and upon the side chambers of the house in thick planks. See, I'm not gonna go over the whole chapter because these a lot of chapters to go over, but I will hit some points as I go along, just for time's sake. But just to prove my point, we're gonna hit oh, this is 42. Then we still harping on some plans. Before the length of 100 cubits was the north door, and the breadth was 50 cubits. So the breadth is like the width of something, how wide it is. Over against the 20 cubits which were for the inner court, and over against the pavement which was for the outer court was gallery against gallery in 3 stories. So now we harping on stories, 3 stories. So more floor plans. Then it's giving you some details. And before the chamber was a walk of 10 cubits breadth inward, a way of 1 cubit, and their doors toward the north. Now the upper chambers were shorter, for the galleries were higher than these, than the lower. And then the middlemost of the building, for they were in 3 stories, but had not pillars as the pillars of the courts. Therefore the building was straightened more than the lowest and the middlemost from the ground. So I'm not sure, is that more like something going like a conical, going upwards to like a triangle? I'm not sure. Yeah, you know how those watchtowers be? They be conical. Yeah, they be a little conical, cone like. For the length of the chambers that were in the utter court was 50 cubits, and lo, before the temple were 100 cubits. So we're going to skip down some. He turned about, we on the 19th verse, he turned about to the west side and measured 500 reeds with the measuring reed. Let's skip to 43. And in 43, I'm going to read verses 1 through 12. Afterward, he brought me to the gate. Even the gate that looketh toward the east. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like a noise of many waters, and the earth shined with his glory. And it was according to the appearance of the vision which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. And the visions were like the vision that I saw by the river Chabar, and I fell upon my face. So if you want to look on that visions, that's the visions of the chariots of the Lord. That's in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter, but we're going to resume. And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east. So now we harping on the east gate. And this is where the glory of the Lord comes from, the east. And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east. Excuse me. Excuse me. So the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house. And I heard him speaking unto me out of the house, and the man stood by me. And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever, and my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile, neither they nor their kings by their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in their high places, in their settings of their threshold by my threshold, and their post by my post, and the wall between me and them. They have defiled my holy name by their abominations that they have committed, wherefore I have consumed them in my anger. Now let them put away their whoredom and the carcasses of their kings far from me, and I will dwell in the midst of them forever. Thou son of man, show the house to the house of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and let them measure the pattern. And if they be ashamed of all that they have done, show them the form of the house, and the fashion thereof, and the goings out thereof, and the comings in thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the ordinances thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the laws thereof, and write it in their sight, that they may keep the whole form thereof, and all the ordinances thereof, and to do them. This is the law of the house upon the top of the mountain. The whole limit thereof round about shall be most holy. Beyond this is the law of the house. So the Lord dwells there. Holiness in all his mountain, a covenant of the land. So when you have covenants of lands, even in today's society, you have something that's called covenants, conditions, and restrictions. And there are certain rules governing the use of land. So let's say you have you got a lease, you got a land lease. Well, there's certain restrictions that a developer, the owner of that land, might put on that land. So you may not be able to raise you might not be able to go past 40 or 50 feet on that lot, whatever allotment of land that you have. You might not be able to build over a certain amount of feet, or you might not be able to have parties after 7. There's certain, just like if a person owns or has some stake in a lease in a plaza, there's certain rules that they have to follow just to own that particular facility on that piece of land. And that's what the Lord is. That's what we just read. If they be ashamed, show them the form, the laws of it, the ordinances of it. So we just talking about covenants, conditions, and restrictions. So we're going to get into some of that. Do I have a precept I want to hit? Yeah, let me hit Isaiah 11. Let me hit Isaiah 11. I'm gonna get verse 6. And this is one of the covenants and conditions. The wolf also, because we talking about holiness in all of his mountain, right? So this is another condition. This Isaiah chapter 11 verse 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp. What is an asp? An asp is a snake. And the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. That's also a snake. Verse 9, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand up for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, and from Pathros, from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. All right. So we talking about the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven. So this is what we going into. Ezekiel 43 is what we were in. Let's go back to it. Ezekiel 43. Yeah, so we talking about the Lord dwells there. Let's go back down some. This is the law of the house. This verse 12. This is the law of the house upon the top of the mountain. The whole limit thereof round about shall be most holy. Behold, this is the law of the house. All right, so we talking about holiness and all this mountain. Animals can't even touch the people. Animals is acting like you know how they supposed to be acting like. But this is only gonna be in a Lord's land, because I think it's Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 tells us the Lord. Let me get it. Let me get it. I got my Bible right here. The Lord said he created wild beasts for vengeance, the teeth of wild beasts for vengeance. So let's get it. So this declaration, that declaration that we just read in, that the animals is not gonna hurt in all of his holy mountain, is only gonna be for the Israelites. Yeah, I'm not gonna bring that one up, but I will get it on in my book though. And I believe it's the 39th chapter of I believe it's the 39th chapter of Sirach. Oh yeah, this Sirach chapter 39 verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail and famine and death, and all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. So all of these things are going to be utilized to punish the wicked for destruction, but in the Lord's land is going to be holiness, and none of these beasts are going to be able to touch the elected people that are in there, which are the bloodline Israelites. So let's check this. All right. So I think that's all I had in 43. I think we could go on. Let me see if I had another point. So now we going into the altar, all right? So let's just read it all the way. And there shall take, verse 20, and thou shalt take the blood thereof and put it on the four horns of it, and the four corners of the settle upon it, the border round about. Hold on, let's go to 19. Salaki. And thou shalt give to the priests of Levites that be of the seed of Zadok, which approach unto me to minister unto me, saith the Lord God, a young bullock for a sin offering. So yes, there's gonna be sacrifices in the kingdom. And I had a precept for that. I'm trying to find it. in my notes, so bear with me. I knew this was gonna be quite a lengthy little video because we're going through all of these chapters. So bear with me. Got a lot written down. Oh yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going up 44. Salaki. Forgive me. All right, so this is Ezekiel 44. Then he brought me back by the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east, and it was shut. Then said the Lord unto me, this gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, no man shall enter in by it. So this is the Lord's gate. So we still looking on the east gate, right? So let me start over. Then he brought me back by the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east, and it was shut. Then said the Lord unto me, thus this gate shall be shut, it shall not be open, and no man shall enter in by it, because the Lord, the God of Israel, hath entered in by it. Therefore it shall be shut. It is for the prince. He shall sit in it to eat bread before the Lord. He shall enter in by the way of the porch of the gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. So this is the Lord's gate, and it is for the prince. And it is for the prince. All right. So while we get there, let's go to Isaiah chapter 9. The Lord's gate is for the prince, because we harping on the kingdom of heaven. The Lord is going to dwell with us forever. That's what he said. Isaiah 9. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9. I'm going to start at 1, read through up into 8. Read through 8. It's Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, in Galilee of the nations. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shine. And where's the land of the shadow of death? It's America. It's America. Verse 3. Thou hast multiplied the nation and not increased the joy before thee according to the joy in harvest, and as man rejoice when they divide the spoil. Yeah, because you Negroes, Latinos, you Native Americans, you be catching hell. Especially a lot of you Negroes, but all the tribes are catching hell right now. And some of us are doing cool, but for the most part we catching hell. And that's why I said thou hast multiplied the nation and not increased the joy. Yeah, we have babies, but shit, we be poor. Jake be breeders for real, but a lot of them still be living in poverty. That's why the Lord said, thou hast multiplied the nation and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy in the harvest. And as man rejoice when they divide the spoil, for thou hast broken the yoke of this oppressor. So yeah, we're gonna rejoice when that happens, but for right now, we're just living hand to mouth trying to wait for the Lord to come. For those of us who believe in that. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. And you can read Psalm chapter 83. Psalm chapter 83 goes into that detail. We'll probably get it. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, just like how we went into in Isaiah the 34th chapter about the day of the Lord's vengeance and recompense for the controversy in Israel, something of that nature. We talking about the streams of burning pitch, all of that. Yeah, this is talking about the same thing. For unto us a child is born. This is the point. Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So when we talking about harping on a prince coming, the prince is the only one that could come in and out the gate of the Lord. We talking about this prince, the Messiah, the King David figure, because the Lord is going to be, Yahweh Shai is going to be in those gates. And I believe only King David is going to be able to eat at that gate, however it's set up. But we only know in part and we prophesy in part. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. So we talking about this rulership. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. All right, Jacob and Israel are the same character. The whole nation of Israel. So let's go back to Ezekiel 44. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I forgot. Let's go oh yeah, 3 through 7. Ezekiel 44 chapter 44 verse 3. It is for the prince he shall sit in it to eat bread before the Lord. He shall enter in by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. All right. I had another little precept. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 9. It was going to precept with some in Jeremiah. Isaiah 9. All right, so this is Isaiah chapter 9. Let me find it. Okay, verse 4. For thou hast this Isaiah chapter 9, verse 4. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and the garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. But I want to harp on the breaking of the burden. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder. That means the Lord is about to burst our bonds. So we're going to go into Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah 30. Because it says something to the similar. We're going to go to verse 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. All right, so we're going to serve the Lord our God, David our king, the Lord our God, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, then David our king, which might be this prince that walks in the midst, that the one that could go in and out and sit at the gate and eat, that could go in and out that gate, that the Lord himself goes in and out of. So we'll see how it all plays out one day. All right, but the Lord said he gonna burst our bonds, and how is he gonna do that? Through through the nuclear decimation that's coming, through the nuclear annihilation that's coming upon a lot of people through World War III. That's how he's gonna free us, and then establish the kingdom of heaven. Before you before you put one kingdom, you have to break down another. All right. So let's go back to Ezekiel 44. Ezekiel 44. All right. Ezekiel 44, Isaiah 9:1. So I'm just saying, hit my notes. Never mind me right now. All right. So we done went through that. Let's go through some of these now. Let's scroll down. But I will make them keepers of the charge of the house for all the service thereof, and for all they shall be done thereof. All right. And those were not the sons of Zadok. These are talking about the ones that had went off right here. But the sons of Zadok get to go to and keep the charge and go to the holy places, and minister at the gates of the inner court and within. So they get to they have the more loftier position within the service of the Lord. And when we talking about Levites, Levite just mean joined unto the Lord. So everyone is gonna be a king and priest, no matter what tribe they are in. Everyone is gonna be a king and a priest, but we're not sure how it's all gonna be like. But just through speculation, every one of the elect is gonna be a king and a priest. Therefore, will be a Levite, which Levite just means lawyer. How you say Levi in the Paleo Hebrew is lawyer, which means just joined to the Most High. Why? Because everybody in the kingdom of heaven is going to be joined to the Most High. Why? Because he's going to be dwelling amongst us. So we're going to get a couple points and just go to the next. After he is cleansed, they shall reckon unto him 7 days. Verse 27, and in that day he goeth into the sanctuary, unto the inner court to minister. In the sanctuary he shall offer a sin offering to the Lord God. So, yeah, I'm not sure how that's happening, but this is what it's talking about. The sin offering. And I believe in certain feasts, we are supposed to make a sin offering. I'm not sure, is that the Day of Atonement? So I'm not going to speak on it too much right now. But on certain high holy days, we're going to have to make a sacrifice. I know that for sure. Especially on the Passover, I believe. You have to sacrifice a lamb. So the sacrifice is going to be bought back. But, with Yahushua reigning in that kingdom, we just going to see how it's going to be implemented. Verse 31, the priest shall not eat of anything that is dead of itself or torn, whether it be fowl or beast. Let's skip to verse 45. And this one goes into land allotment, this verse 1. Moreover, when ye shall divide the land of inheritance, ye shall offer an oblation unto the Lord, an holy portion of the land. The length shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000. This shall be holy in all the borders thereof round about. So this is like I said, this is going into land allotments for the tribes, their families, the priests, the princes, whatever the case be. It's more conditions and covenants and restrictions to live by in whatever subdivisions and ordinance, specifications for sacrifices, weights and measurements and currency, Passover, everything. These are the specifications that's written in this chapter. Verse 4, the holy portion is the of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, which shall come near to minister unto the Lord, and it shall be a place for their houses. The holy portion of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, which shall come near to minister unto the Lord, and it shall be a place for the houses, and an holy place for the sanctuary. And the 25,000 of length and 10,000 of breadth shall also the Levites, the ministers of the house, have for themselves for a possession for 20 chambers. Okay. So we just harping on that. We scrolling down some. Can't read it all to you. You gotta go read it yourself some. But we will get into it and get some breakdowns. So now we going into the balances, the weights and measures. Verse 10, ye shall have just balances and a just ephah and a just bath. The shekel shall be 20 gerahs, 20 shekels, 5 and 20 shekels, 15 shekels shall be your mina. And I forgot in what book. I know it's Chronicles, but it tells us that 10 gerahs is the payment of a man for the house of the Lord. This verse 18, thus saith the Lord God, in the first month, in the first day of the month, thou shalt take a young bullock without blemish and cleanse the sanctuary. So a bullock is a bull. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering and shall put upon the posts of the house and upon the four corners of the settle of the altar and upon the house of the gate of the inner court. And 7 days of the feast he shall prepare burnt offering. Verse 22, we went up one. And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering. So this kind of reminds me of a Josiah-like figure, a Solomon-like figure, but we know it's the King David figure, So now it's talking about sacrifices at high holy days. We're gonna be keeping that in our land. It's gonna be the law of the land is gonna be the Lord's law, and that's gonna be reign throughout the whole earth. So now we in Ezekiel Chapter 46. Verse 1, thus saith the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east, so remember, this is the Lord's gate, shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. Why? Because Sabbaths is not just for Saturday. Sabbath is not one particular day. Sabbath is ordained by the new moon. So whenever you have a new moon, that signifies the starting of a new Sabbath. Then every 7 days is your Sabbath day. And that goes from the evening that you see the new moon until the next evening is 1 day. So then you go 7 days after that. After 6 days, the seventh circulation of that, the seventh circulation of those from evening to evening on the 7th evening is gonna be the start of the Sabbath. So the moon dictates the Sabbath days, your new moons. So just like today is a Sabbath day. Today, what is today's date? Today is October the 6th. So today, last night was a new moon. So today is still a Sabbath day until the evening time. And yesterday was a Sabbath day. So you can have 2 Sabbath days in one 7 day period, or however many days, Yes, you can. All right. Let's get it. Thus saith the Lord God, the gate of the inner court hath looked toward the east, shall be shut 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of the gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offerings and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before the Lord on the Sabbaths and in the new moons, and the burnt offerings that the prince shall offer unto the Lord in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. So the Lord, the prince is the king, a king priest. All right, he is the high priest. Just like when you go into the book of Kings, you got Josiah, like how I just mentioned the Josiah and Solomon, how and even King David, all of those kings, they were priest kings, They still had their high priests. They still had their their sons of Aaron's there to be as the priesthood, but still they were still high priests. They acted as the head. All right, so what did I have for this? Let me hit my notes. Let's go to Hosea chapter 3. Hosea chapter 3. What did I want to get? 4 and 5. This reminds me of this. It's Hosea chapter 3, verse 4. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God and David their king, and shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. So this vision that Ezekiel is having of this city, and he's seeing all of the components and the measurements and everything that consists of the city, and he's seeing all of the ordinances and the laws and the conditions of inhabiting that land. He's seeing that this is the kingdom of heaven that he's seeing, and this is in the latter days. Why? Because it says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king. We don't have a king right now. We have other nations ruling over us. That's why we're not that's why we're in a servitude, a position of servitude. That's why the Lord said he's gonna burst our bonds and break the yoke from off our neck, break his yoke from off our neck, because we're in a servitude, in a position of servitude right now, because you're not sovereign whenever people that are not of your own ethnicity or race are not ruling over you, because they don't have your best interests at heart. Hell, these people don't even have their own people's interests at heart. So how are you gonna have yours? All right. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. So when you go after that, after that shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God and David their king, and shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. So this is going to be in the latter days where we're going to get back our king, our prince, and our sacrifices, okay? So let's go back to, where was I at? Ezekiel 45 or 46? Ezekiel 45. Let's see where we were at. think we were at 46. Oh, yeah, we were in 46. Slakia, bear with me. All right. Let's hit a couple of these other ones. We got the meat offering, verse 5. And the meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the meat offering for the lambs, as he shall be able to give, and an hin of oil to an ephah. All right. In the day of the new moon it shall be a young bullock without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram, they shall be without blemish. Let's jump down, verse 20. Then he said unto me, this is the place where the priest shall boil the trespass offering and the sin offering, where they shall bake the meat offering, that they bear them not out into the utter court to sanctify the people. Then verse 24, then said he unto me, these are the places of them that boil, where the ministers of the house shall boil the sacrifice for the people. So we're gonna have our sacrifices set up. Our king gonna rule over us. The spirit of the Lord is gonna be poured out on us. The Lord himself is gonna dwell with us. And this is the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom. All right, so now we in Ezekiel chapter 47. Excuse me. Let's start at verse 1. Afterward he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward, for the forefront of the house stood toward the east, and the waters came down from under the right side of the house at the south side of the altar. Then brought he me out of the way of the gate northward, and led me about the way without unto the utter gate by the way that looketh eastward, and behold, there ran out waters on the right side. And when the man that had the line in his hand went forth eastward, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he brought me through the waters. The waters were at the ankles. Again he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters, and the waters were to the knees. Again he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters. The waters were to the loins. Afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that could not pass over, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now when I had returned, behold, a bank on the river, were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then said he unto me, these waters issue out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. And it shall come to pass that everything that liveth, which moveth, whithersoever the river shall come, shall live. And there shall be a very great multitude of fish, because these waters shall come thither, for they shall be healed, and everything shall live whither the river cometh. So these waters are going to bring forth living waters, okay? But let's go back up some. Let's bump back up a few verses. And he measured 1,000, verse 4, and he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters, and the waters were to the knees. And he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters were to the loins. Afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass. All right, so with that being said, let's get Isaiah chapter 33. Isaiah chapter 33. We're talking about a river that he could not pass. Isaiah chapter 33. Let me find it, verse 20. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 20. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eye shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. But there the glorious Lord will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein shall go no galley with oars, neither shall gallant ship pass thereby. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king. He will save us. Why? And when we go back to the Lord issued out these waters. We even got the water coming from the temple, from the threshold of the temple, right? Afterward he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued from under the threshold of the house eastward. So the waters was coming from the east. And where's the gate of the Lord? At the east, right? And then he goes down, right? We go down, and now the Lord is measuring waters at 1,000, and he measured 1,000, brought me through the waters, measured 1,000 again, measured 1,000 again, measured 1,000 again, right? Now we're gonna start right here. Verse 5. Afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass over, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. We already read it in Isaiah 33 that no gallant ship is gonna be able to get through there, and that's why the stakes shall not be taken up of the New Jerusalem, of that great city, right? A great gulf. We gonna I remember the parable of Lazarus. I think it's Luke 16, Luke 13, but let's get it. A great gulf. A great gulf. A great gulf is fixed. Yeah, this is Luke chapter 16. So, and beside, verse 26, and beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. So, you know, when we're getting into the parable of Lazarus, that's just a parable of the kingdom of heaven, the fall of Israel, and the rising up again, the rise of the so-called white man, and the falling of him. Okay, and he's describing to Abraham that there's a great gulf that you cannot be passed. Why? Because they're going to be dwelling in a separate land, and they're going to be under the curses. Right now, we're under the curses, and we dwell in a land with them as their servants for the most part. But they're going to be catching hell. And wherever their land going to be at is not going to be anywhere that they could come get us at. So let's go back to, was on Ezekiel 46 or 47? Ezekiel 46. Oh yeah, I was in Ezekiel 47. Ezekiel 47. Let's time check. All right, we ain't doing too bad. This Ezekiel chapter 47. We already went through that one. We already went through the rivers that they cannot pass. So I'm just trying to prove that all of these chapters is talking about the kingdom of heaven. That's all that is, laying there, you know. laying these measurements down, reading about the measurements that's being laid down. All right. Verse 9, and it shall come to pass that everything that liveth which moveth, whatsoever the river shall come, shall live, and there shall be a very great multitude of fish. We back at Ezekiel chapter 47. Because these waters shall come thither, for they shall be healed, and everything shall live whither the river cometh. Verse 10, and it shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon it from Engedi, even unto Eneglaim. They shall be a place to spread forth nets. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding many. Hold on, let's go up some. I think I forgot a little something. I wanted to hit something else, another point. This verse 6. This is Ezekiel 47, verse 6. And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now when I had returned, behold, at the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then said he unto me, these waters issue out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the water shall be healed. So we're going to harp on these trees and this river, right? We harping on the trees and the river right now. So I had another verse. Let's go to Revelation 21, I believe it's saying. Okay, 21, Revelation 21. Oh yeah, 12 manner of fruit. Let's just put 12 manner of fruit. Revelation 22 and 2. All right, so this is Revelation 22. Let's read the full chapter. Start at 1. And he showed me a pure river of water of life as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God of the Lamb. So these the same waters that come eastward, because we already know the gate of the Lord is at the east gate. And in the midst of this, verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life. So we already see remember, the Lord brought Ezekiel back to that bank, and he seen trees on either side of the river. Okay, now we continue on. Which bear 12 manner of fruit, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the trees were for the healing of the nations. So didn't the Lord say the water goes forth and heal? And these trees are by the water, but these trees also resemble people, but they're also actual trees too. You know, I went in on one of my other videos, explained the trees and the people. That wasn't the yeah, I believe it was. Or did I? I'm not sure. Let's keep going. Let's read it again. Revelation chapter 22, verse 1. And he showed me a pure river of water, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb, in the midst of the street of it. And on either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. So this is that same kingdom that the Lord is measuring in Ezekiel chapter 40 through 48. Ezekiel 47. So let's go back to the 47th chapter. Let's go back to the 47th chapter. Harping on my notes real quick. Give me one moment. All right, let's go to verse 22. Let's hit some of this. Verse 13, thus saith the Lord God, this shall be the border whereby ye will inherit the land according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 portions, and ye shall inherit it, one as well another, concerning the which I have lifted up mine hand to give it unto your fathers. And this shall fall unto you for inheritance, and this shall be the border of the land of the north side from the great sea. Bam, bam. We're going to skip down. Verse 17, and the border of the sea shall be Hazarim. Verse 18, and the sea shall ye measure from Havaron and from Damascus. Verse 19, and thou shalt southward. Verse 20, to the west shall be the great sea from the border. We just hitting little sentences in it. Verse 21, so shall ye divide the land unto the according to the tribes of Israel. So we about to get into some land division. Verse 22, this is really what I wanted to get to. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, that they shall give them his inheritance, saith the Lord God. And who are these strangers? Who are these strangers? Because these are going to be the Israelites, bloodline Israelites. But we're going to get into it. We're going to get into who these strangers are. Let's get Isaiah chapter 60. This Isaiah chapter 60. Let's hit verse 9. Verse 8, who are these that fly as clouds and as the doves to their windows? Surely the owls that wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their king shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. But these strangers are not going to be the same strangers. These strangers are gonna be the ones that are bought back. Okay? They're gonna be the ones that are gonna be bought back on ships and on camels and all of the good things, right? Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be bought. So we talking about the forces of the Gentiles are going to be building up the kingdom, you feel me? But these strangers that's going to be bought back are going to be bloodline Israelites that are in these countries, that are in these other countries, that are not going to be beamed up in the chariots in that time of destruction, probably because they're not going to be within the midst of those fires that going to be devouring places. So the Lord is just going to put an edict for them to be brought into the kingdom of heaven. And this probably going to be that great multitude as the sand of the sea, you know, that's going to return. That's not that 144,000, but that great multitude. So what else I wanted to get? Yeah, let's go back. Was that the one I wanted though? Isaiah. Oh yeah. That's the one I wanted. So let's go to Ezekiel 48 now. Ezekiel 47 actually. And let's see if we need to hit anything in that. Bam. Because we just harping on this kingdom of heaven specifications. This is a plan overview. Verse 23, Ezekiel 47, and it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall ye give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. Because whatever tribe that person's bloodline goes back to, he's gonna have an inheritance in that land allotment, right? Let's go to, did I ever get this? We went to it, but I didn't get this precept. Revelation chapter 21. Revelation 21. Let's start at verse 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gate thereof and the wall thereof. So this is the same vision Ezekiel is seeing. John saw that same vision. John a revelator. Okay? John the diviner. All right, so let's go to Ezekiel 48. Ezekiel 48. You know, this is just talking about more land allotments. Let's hit the first verse, Ezekiel chapter 48, verse 1. Now these are the names of the tribes from the north end to the coast of the way of Hethlon, as one goeth to Hamath, Hazarenan, the border of Damascus, northward to the coast of Hamath, for these are the sides of the east and the west, a portion for Dan, and by the border of Dan from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Asher, and by the border of Asher from the east side even to the west side, a portion for Naphtali, and by the border of Naphtali from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Manasseh, and by the border of Manasseh from the east side unto the west side, a portion of Ephraim, and by the border of Ephraim unto the east side unto the west side, a portion for Reuben, and by the border of Reuben for the east side unto the west side, a portion for Judah, and by the border of Judah, and from the east side unto the west side shall be the offering which ye shall offer of 25,000 reeds in breadth and in length, as of the other parts from the east side unto the west side, and the sanctuary shall be in the midst of it. The oblation ye shall offer unto the Lord shall be 25,000 in length, and of 10,000 in breadth, and for them, even for the priest, shall be the holy oblation toward the north 25,000 in length, and toward the west 10,000 in breadth, and toward the east 10,000 in breadth, and toward the south 25,000 in length, and the sanctuary of the Lord shall be in the midst thereof. All right, what is this? Okay, saying some of the same things, but we talking about land allotment. And yes, the tribe of Dan is allotted land, even though we don't see them in Revelations as one of the tribes being sealed. Somehow they got there. Somehow they still get a portion, because remember, Dan was the standard of a camp. Let's see about the standards of the camps. North, east, west, and south. Standard of a camp. So even though the tribe of Dan fell off somehow, the Lord always keeps a remnant. Nah, this ain't. Okay. So now we talking about the standards of the camps. This is Numbers chapter 2. Start at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, every man of the children of Israel shall pitch his own standard with the ensign of their father's house. Didn't the Lord say he's going to set up an ensign? He's going to set up an ensign for us. All right. For off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch, and on the east side toward the rising of the sun shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout. Okay. So who was Judah? Judah was over who? And his host, and there were a number of them 80. We just gonna hit some points. Because I'm not gonna go. And all were numbered in the camps of Judah. All right. And on the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben, according to their armies and according to the children of Reuben. All right. So now the standard of a camp on the south side is Reuben. So now the camp of Reuben is associated with Gad and my eyes are, I'm not trying to go all in, but we know Gad, because 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you have 3, 3, 2, 2, and 2. So 3 times 4 is 12 tribes. So on each standard of the camp is the standard of a direction. So they're the leader of a direction. So we know we have the north, the south, the west, and the east. So we already know that Judah is the standard of a camp. Reuben is the standard of a camp. I just want to really get to this point. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim. So Ephraim shall be the standard of the camp on the west side. All right. So let's see. On the north side is the standard of the camp of Dan. Verse 25, the standard of the camp of Dan shall be on the north side by their borders. All right. So Dan was the standard of a camp. And when we talking about the standard, we talking about what is a standard? So a rule to follow. So they were like the leaders of that direction. So that's why when we go into Ezekiel 48 chapter, yes, Dan is written to have a portion. Although we don't see him written in being one of those tribes that's gonna be sealed. So, it's all speculation. It is all speculation. Okay, so we talking about a land allotment. Let's hit verse 15. And the 5,000 that are left in the breadth over against the 25,000 shall be a profane place for the city, for dwelling and for suburbs, and the city shall be in the midst thereof. And that might be for the forces of the Gentiles that be brought to the gates that we just read in Isaiah the 60th chapter, I believe. The forces of the Gentiles shall be brought to the gates. All right. And that's where I believe that profane place in the city is gonna be for the heathen nations that serve. They're gonna live in those places, the profane place of the city. All right. So there's just more land allotments, covenants, restrictions, things of that nature. The city name of the. Let's go to verse 35. We're gonna start winding down, wrapping this up, man. Verse 33, and the south side 4,500. Skip into 34, and the west side 4,500. With their 3 gates, 1 gate of Gad, 1 gate of Asher, 1 gate of Naphtali. Verse 35, it was round about 18,000 measures, and the name of the city from that day shall be the Lord is there. So, this is just the specifications of the kingdom of heaven. An overview. I also lightweight wanted to harp in because we had these remember we had these four rivers, not the 4 rivers, but in Ezekiel 47. Before I let you go, we're going to go back to Ezekiel 47 and we're going to harp on these rivers a little bit. Verse 5, afterward he measured 1,000 and it was a river that I could not pass. Hold on. Verse 4. All right, verse 3. And when, this is Ezekiel 47, verse 3, and when the man that had the line in his hand had went forth eastward and measured 1,000 cubits. See, this is a 1,000, and brought me forth through the waters. All right. Then the waters were to the ankles. So again, he measured 1,000 and brought me forth through the waters. So this is the second 1,000. Now the waters were to his knees. Again, he measured 1,000. So this is the third 1,000. This verse 4. And he brought me through the waters. Through the waters were to the loins. Afterward, he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass. So he measured 4 times 1,000, right? He measured 1,000 4 times. So guess what? This reminded me of Genesis chapter 2. The 4 rivers that went out of the midst of the garden. Why am I saying this? Because this is going to be eaten all over again. The Lord is going to open back up eating again for us. Genesis chapter 2. Let me just get into this a little bit. Verse 10. Because this is what that reminded me of, that verse. So I just wanted to get into it a little bit. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison, that which it compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of the land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone, and the name of the second river is Gihon, the name of it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. So when I'm talking about when we read that he stretched forth the reed another 1,000 measures, right? Then the water was up to his ankles. Then he stretched it out again. So this is that second river. Then he stretched it out a 3rd time, right? And the name of the river is Gihon, the same that compassed. So this is that second river. Now let's get to that 3rd river. And the name of the 3rd river is Hiddekel, that is which goeth over the east of Assyria. And the 4th river is Euphrates. So we talking about that 3rd river where Ezekiel saw, and the water was up to his loins. And then that 4th river, Ezekiel said that 4,000 measures, Ezekiel said he could not even pass it. So, right. which goeth forth into the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is Euphrates. And the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So, I just wanted to go into that part, because I found it interesting. But once again, this was I just brought forth all of the precepts concerning, Ezekiel 39 through 48 concerning the kingdom of heaven, its specifications, and it was more so just a plain overview. So hopefully somebody got something up out of this, and Adawan Ratazah, this lesson was edifying. And until the next time, I want to give a big shout out to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Barakatah. I also want to shout out the Great Millstone, man. They be having them fire breakdowns, I can't go without giving them credit, giving credit to the people who credit are due to, But all praise to Allah, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Barakatah, and Shalom.